Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the GM. It is your guy, Belanger. Up next, discussing the AFC North. Let's talk. There's been a lot of news running through the AFC North over the last few weeks, and each team has their own questions to be answered. Cleveland's trying to answer questions about the quarterback and Myles Garrett. The Bengals are trying to answer questions about what are they going to do with T. Higgins. The Pittsburgh Steelers are trying to figure out who's going to be the quarterback. And the Baltimore Ravens are trying to figure out how to build an offensive line, edge rush, and what are they going to do to create some cap space. So each team has their own questions to answer and news that addresses all of those subjects. And so what we're going to be doing, man, every single week, man, we're going to be bringing you a segment about the AFC North, and we're going to run through every team and their latest news. So let's start at the bottom with the Cleveland Browns. Not the bottom because Cleveland is a bottom team, just the bottom of the AFC North as they finished last season. The Cleveland Browns have more questions than answers. And I think that they've been trying to fight off a rebuild for a number of years. I think the Cleveland Browns may have known from the second year of the Deshaun Watson contract that they had made a bad decision. Deshaun Watson has been more out than in. And even when he's been in, he has been not that great. And so I think that Cleveland needs to go ahead and go full throttle towards a rebuild because I think they could rebuild pretty quickly. But why do I think that? Well, number one, they have the second overall pick in the draft, which means they could take their quarterback of the future, and having a rookie quarterback on a rookie deal could offset some of that money that they're paying Deshaun Watson. I think they also could rebuild pretty quickly because if and when they trade Myles Garrett, I think that they're going to get no less than 2 first-round picks. I can see something like 2 first, 2 seconds, and some later round picks included. I can see something like 3 first-round picks for a contending team. A team that I have in mind, in fact, as I begin to think about it, is a team like the Washington Commanders. The Washington Commanders have about $75 million in cap space. So trading for a Myles Garrett on his current deal would not diminish their ability to go out and do some things in free agency. Daniels is on his rookie deal, so you basically got 4 years of low value as it pertains to contract for a quarterback, but high output, high production. And so this is the kind of move that I could see the Washington Commanders making, as they should, to put their rookie quarterback in position to compete now and for many years to come. And so that's what I'm looking at when I'm thinking about the Cleveland Browns. And so with that trade, or with a trade, not just with the Washington Commanders, but any trade that you're going to get 2 first-round picks in, that means you're going to end up with 2 first-round picks this year, 2 first-round picks next year, and then whatever the third year looks like. And so you could absolutely get your quarterback of the future. You could absolutely get the pass rusher, cornerstone of the defense. You could get a left tackle to protect that rookie quarterback. You could absolutely get another wide receiver to go with Jerry Jeudy. You can do all kind of things with that kind of draft capital. I think the Cleveland Browns are absolutely going to trade Myles Garrett. And if they do, I think they'll be back to winning ways in about 2 seasons as it pertains to contending for a playoff game, so on and so forth. Let's jump over to the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's go there. The biggest question for the Cincinnati Bengals is right now, what are they going to do with T. Higgins? Now, the latest news surrounding T. Higgins is that they are willing to franchise tag Higgins. But I think that their willingness to tag Higgins is not about keeping him. Come close and let me tell you what I think they're up to. I think if they franchise tag Higgins, that franchise tag is going to be somewhere around $30 million. Because I think he played on a $26 million franchise tag last year. What that does, especially if he signs it, that allows them to trade T. Higgins, which makes him more valuable to them than just letting him walk in free agency and waiting on a compensatory pick in the 2026 draft. That's doing smart business. That's what I think the Bengals are up to. I think they're going to tag him. I think that because they're not going to commit $30 million a year to T. Higgins and then turn around and commit about $40 million to Jamar Chase. They won't have any money to sign anybody else or to do anything else. So I definitely think they're going to get Chase done. He's probably going to be between that $38 and $40 million range per year. Highest paid wide receiver in the league. That's why it pays to get your deals done early before they have these kind of seasons, being a Triple Crown winner. But yeah, I think as it pertains to Higgins, they're going to tag Higgins so that they can trade him and get capital. I think if they trade him, they're going to get no less than a second and a third, a couple of seconds, something like that. And I think that allows them to get the T. Higgins replacement, and they keep moving forward and being prolific as an offense. Don't know what they're going to do defensively, especially with some questions of both defensive line and in the secondary. But I definitely think offensively, they're going to flip T. Higgins after they tag him for some draft capital. So look for a T. Higgins tag and trade up until draft night. Let's go to the Pittsburgh Steelers. The biggest question coming out of Pittsburgh is who's going to be the quarterback? At the beginning of the offseason, you heard a lot of talk about them working on a deal with Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson wanted to come back to Pittsburgh. And as of late, you've heard some comments that the Rooneys would rather have Justin Fields over Russell Wilson. And I kind of agree with that. I think Justin Fields offers a similar skill set as it pertains to the mobility, or maybe an upgrade over the mobility of a Russell Wilson, although Wilson may be the better thrower of the football. But I think with what Pittsburgh tries to do offensively, I think Justin Fields will be the better fit. And so, but you've also heard some rumors, I guess you would say, about Aaron Rodgers to Pittsburgh. I've heard some talk about maybe Sam Darnold to Pittsburgh, which I think is a bad move. Sam Darnold has played his best ball where? On the West Coast with warmer weather in San Francisco, and then in a dome in Minnesota. Bringing him back to the East Coast and asking him to play in cold weather may not be the best decision. So I could see in Pittsburgh them answering the quarterback question in Justin Fields, maybe in Kirk Cousins, or maybe even in Aaron Rodgers. I would love to see them get Aaron Rodgers because I don't think he has anything left. And so just go ahead and make the mistake, get Aaron Rodgers, pay him $30 million, and we'll see how that works out during the season. Also, when you think about the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're going to be trying to answer the question of what they're going to do at the running back position. I've also seen some rumors, I'm sure you guys have, that Pittsburgh may be interested in Nick Chubb. I think it's a good fit as it pertains to style, Nick Chubb's style, but I don't think he's that much of an upgrade at this point in his career over a Najee Harris. And so we have to wait and see if Pittsburgh is really interested in Nick Chubb. All right, let's jump to the Baltimore Ravens as we close out. The Baltimore Ravens, as you guys have heard me commentate about, as many others around the Baltimore Ravens content creators, they have many questions. What are they going to do along the offensive line? Will they resign Ronnie Stanley? When will they get a extension done with Derrick Henry? How are they going to make cap space? Get in the edge rusher? What are they going to do at corner? All of these questions. And as of right now, there is no real news about a Derrick Henry extension. There's been talks, of course, but there's no real news about that. There's no real news about Ronnie Stanley. There's speculation that there are some teams that will come after Ronnie Stanley. Of course, we've heard about the Washington Commanders, the Kansas City Chiefs. There was another team that came up, but I can't remember the name of that team. And then, of course, the Ravens. I think with the salary cap increase, that does lean in the direction of Ronnie Stanley maybe returning to Baltimore, but I wouldn't necessarily bank on it. I'm okay with getting a stopgap for that left tackle position, and then just drafting a guy who can develop quickly to be the long-term answer at left tackle for the Baltimore Ravens. I would like to see them go get somebody who is more assured at the left guard position, and I'm actually okay with them running it back with Daniel Falele, who did play all 17 games and was a backup Pro Bowler, which probably means he grades out better than we judged him. Now, am I saying he played great? No, ma'am, no, sir. But I am saying he must have played better than what we judged him. And so maybe he will just be that much better in his second year as a starter, because the right guard position was a new position. But we'll see. What are we going to do with edge rush? I think the Baltimore Ravens will pursue a free agent edge rusher. I do believe that. I don't know who that'll be. I do have my picks, as you'll see, when I do the perfect defense for the Baltimore Ravens coming out tomorrow on Monday. But don't really have any idea of who they'll actually will sign, of course. And then I think they'll bring in a veteran cornerback and then, of course, draft a cornerback or two. And so I think that's how they'll address the roster issues. But we don't have any major questions in Baltimore other than how to fill in some vulnerable areas on this roster. And I think the major question of them all, if we had one that speaks loudly, is what will they do with Mark Andrews? My concern, my utmost concern is that they will extend Mark Andrews, and I think extending Mark Andrews will cost us Isaiah Likely. And so we'll get into that in our trade conversation coming up later on this week. So let me know what you guys think about all the 4 teams in the AFC North. Should Cleveland trade Myles Garrett and get ready for a rebuild? Do you think that the Cincinnati Bengals have an ulterior motive with franchise tagging T. Higgins? Do you think it's Justin Fields or somebody else in Pittsburgh? And do you think they will actually keep Ronnie Stanley and really get an edge rush who can get to the quarterback in this offseason? I'm your guy, Boulanger. This is the GM, and I'm out.